Before President Barack Obama, before presidential candidate Hillary Rodham Clinton, before Vice President Kamala Harris, there was Shirley Chisholm. Hi, my name is Colette, and I created this channel as a safe space with you in mind. I help Black women to embrace new seasons of their lives with purpose and joy. So today, I want to spend this intersecting space between President's Day here in the US and Black History Month here in the US by honoring Shirley Chisholm. I was inspired to do this video by Dr. Kimani Norrington Sands on her channel, Lifting as We Climb, Consulting Wellness Services. Her Sisters in the Struggle for Liberation series gave me the idea for this video. So I want to thank her for that. And I will put a link to her channel in the description box below. Go check it out. So back to Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Anita St. Hill was born on November 30th, 1924 in Brooklyn, New York. You'll see me looking down at my notes. To a Guyanese father and a Barbadian mother. At 5 years old, Shirley and her two younger sisters were sent to live with their maternal grandmother on a farm in Barbados. And she returned to the US when she was about 10 years old. Fast forward, in 1946, Shirley earned a Bachelor's of Art from Brooklyn College in sociology with a minor in Spanish. While at Brooklyn College, she was a member of the Harriet Tubman Society. And you can see Harriet Tubman in my background over here, right there. There's Harriet Tubman. The Harriet Tubman Society was an organization which provided Black women who moved from the South, and that's here in the US, to Boston in search of better opportunities. What the organization did is they provided these women with shelter, with skills and training, and they provided a community for them. And I'm thinking this probably is around the beginning of our Great Migration here in the US, when Black Americans migrated en masse from southern states to the West and the North. So this was during that time, at the beginning of that time. So Shirley married Conrad Chisholm, a Jamaican immigrant in the late 1940s. For much of her career, Chisholm was an educator and a social rights activist, and she really fought for the rights of Blacks and women. In 1951, she earned a Master's of Arts from Teachers College of Columbia University in childhood education. In 1964, Chisholm became the second African-American woman in the New York State Legislature when she won state representative of Bedford-Stuyvesant in Brooklyn. Then in 1969, Chisholm became the first Black woman elected to Congress, and during her first year as a member of the House of Representatives, she was also the only woman. During her tenure in Congress, she played a pivotal role in the establishment of the Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women's, Infant, and Children, what we now refer to as WIC. This was a very important program because at that time, people were struggling. And so the goal was to ensure that people, women and children, at least had some nutrition, that the children had milk. So that was one of the things that she was able to get done. And there were many more. In 1972, Chisholm became the first Black woman to seek the presidential nomination from a major political party in the US. And there's been some talk back and forth whether she was the first woman, period, or the first Black woman. when you read the news on it, it depends on who's writing the news. So it doesn't matter. This was still a very important legacy making, groundbreaking thing that she did. Her slogan was unbought and unbossed because she felt that she was not going to sell out the needs of her community to be beholden to these companies that were like the political machines of the day that were buying politicians, and they still do it now. Because what happened is she felt that when you are owned by a company or an organization, when you are beholden to them, you have to do their bidding when you go to these to Congress or if the presidency or what have you. So she was like, I'm unbought and I'm unbossed. And if you look closely at my poster here, let me see if I could do it right. That is Shirley Chisholm's one of her campaign things. She is quoted, and this is just a partial quote, as saying, "My presence before you symbolizes a new era in American political history." And that is so true because, as I mentioned, the people earlier were able to run for office because of Shirley. Chisholm was reelected to Congress 6 times. She retired from Congress in 1983, and she worked in education after that, various professorships, and she passed away in 2005. Things came full circle in 2015 when she was posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Barack Obama, the first Black president of the United States. And as they say, the rest is history. For more information about Shirley Chisholm, I encourage you to read her 2 autobiographical works. Unbought and Unbossed was released in 1970, and her 1973 book, The Good Fight. You can find both of these on Amazon, and you might even be able to find those on Audible. Okay, so that's if you want more information about Shirley Chisholm, and you should want more information about Shirley Chisholm. I just want to say this. We hear so much about people not finding educational value in teaching Black history, which, by the way, is American history. That's not even, I'm not even going to argue that point. My thing is this: stop waiting for other folks, other people to teach and tell our history to our kids. The first time I heard about the accomplishments of Black people was not in school, it was at home. My mother, Wealthy, was my first Black history teacher, and she did not teach me that Black history began in the Americas. From my mother, I learned that Black history began on the continent. And I don't even need to say what continent. I'm just going to say the continent, the very place where civilization itself began. I learned about the rich history that is as old as time, and it's our history. So, what am I saying? I am saying we don't need other people to teach our history. We can teach ourselves. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to be accurate. We can all play a role. I challenge each and every one of you to research one Black person in history and then share that story with a young person or an old person, with a Black person or a white person or both. You can share the story. Challenge the person that you share the story with to research another Black person and then share it with someone else. And I'm going to say this: I spoke about Miss Chisholm, her mom being from Barbados and her dad being from the British Guyana. Black people, we come in all ethnic backgrounds. We're not all from America. We got Black people from Jamaica. We got Black people from Africa, of course. What some people don't realize is most Black people located outside of the continent of Africa, do you know where they live? They live in Brazil. They live in Brazil. So that tells you or gives you an example of the wide range of ethnic backgrounds that we come in. And so when you are teaching or learning about Black history, learn it and tell. Maya Angelou had a quote, and this is just a partial of the quote. When you get, give. When you learn, teach. So I am committed to talk about a Black person a couple times, at least once a month, perhaps. And again, it don't have to be perfect. You see, I don't have pictures and I don't have all that. I'll probably get some pictures when I get better with this YouTube thing. But we can share our stories. It doesn't have to be a long documentary. You can do an Instagram post. Daily, I see inspirational notes on Instagram, and I like reading those. But you can change the game and make it about a Black person. That's teaching Black history. You can put it on your Twitter account, or social media platform you're using. You can start a YouTube channel, okay? I named this one, We Tell Our Own History. I forgot what I named it. It's something like that. But you can tell our history. We can shut down the silliness of people saying that Black Americans have no history or culture. We can do that by educating people. Do you know a lot of people on the continent of Africa don't even really know what happened to us over here in the Americas? They don't know what happened to us during slavery. Did you know that? Do you know many of them do not even know the Jim Crow South? Some of them don't know that we could not vote. It was against the law for us to read or write. A lot of them don't know that. Why? Because it's not taught to them. And I personally don't think that it's other people's responsibility to teach our history. I think it's our responsibility to teach our history. Just like my mom taught me Black history, she started teaching me Black history. You can teach your children Black history, and you can teach your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews Black history. You can help them, you can train them. We, as Black people, have done so much more with so much less. I mean, this is the easiest movement ever. And we can start it right here, right now, today. Again, I challenge each and every one of you just to come up with one story about one person. It doesn't have to be long. And share the story. Tell our own history. Until next time, we'll talk. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Share it with somebody who you think may be interested. I think everybody should be interested. And challenge yourself to learn about Black history, which is American history. God bless.